Hi, let's talk about finishing up your album cover. Okay, so this video will pick up right where we left off with the last one. So I have all of the images edited of myself and the background's masked out. It's not perfect. As you can see, I kind of have Herman Munster feet in some of these, but I didn't want to take too much time to edit those until I know for sure if I need to. So the bottoms of my figures are going to interact with the background a little bit, and some of those might be hidden by the background, part of the background. So I'm not going to edit those until I need to. Um, so you can go ahead and place your background files in your images. You can go through that process the same way as we did when we were placing these images. So you can just go to File and Place Linked and then choose the background image that you want. I have both of mine in here, and I have two background images, and I'll turn off the visibility on that one so that we can see. So I have two background images that I'm going to use. This one, I'll turn up the opacity. This one is the one that I'm going to use for the grass, so the ground and the grass area. This one is the one that I'm going to use for the sky. I couldn't use just this first one because the clouds were in it, and that's not very accurate to my original, if you remember. So let's just look at that here real quick. Okay, so this one has a little bit of lightness here, but I wouldn't call those clouds. So I thought that was a little bit too different to use any images with clouds like that right there. But I did like the ground from this one, so I'm going to use that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the part of this image that I want to keep, and the part that I want is the ground, right? Okay, um, so right now I'm going to choose a selection tool. I'll use the magnetic lasso tool. You could also use the quick selection tool. That might work well on this one. Either way is fine. Whatever, it's a little bit personal preference, and it's also a little bit just what works best with your image. And I got a little wild there, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so there, oh, and I also have that guide there. Sorry, I was using that for something else. I didn't even notice it. So I'm just gonna clear, clear guides. Okay, so there's my selection. It's a little bit rough, isn't it? So maybe the magnetic lasso tool was not the best one to use, but that's okay because I can fix that all up. So now I need to mask out everything but this area. So I just want this part of this layer visible. All I'm going to do, as I have that layer selected, or so that layer is active and this part is selected, I'm just going to hit this layer mask button right here in the bottom of my layers palette. And as you can see, now I have this grass area selected, and then whatever else is visible is, where the sky and the building and stuff were. Like I said, my selection was a little rough. My magnetic lasso did not work perfectly, so I'm going to come back in and I'm going to edit this mask a little bit. Okay, so now I know that I am editing the actual mask because I see this white box around the mask. It might look like that, but if I did that, then I would be editing the actual image, but I don't want that. I want to edit the mask. So I'm clicking on the mask, and now I have that white box, so I'm good there. Now I want to paint in with a paintbrush. I usually find that the easiest. You can also use your selection tools. I'm going to get a big brush, maybe not quite that big, and now I have white chosen as my foreground color because we use white to reveal and black to conceal. So I want to reveal more of this down here. So I'm just going in and cleaning up some of that until I get all of that area visible. And I would maybe come in and just clean up a little transition there. That might have been a little bit too much, so I can switch back to my black brush, and I can come back in and just paint in, or paint out, I should say, that part of that image, and that's pretty good. You can see right here, that's where the image from the Lincoln Park cover is meeting my cover, and that won't be visible in my final image anyway, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to hide that one right now. I'm going to turn on my other background image. This is the one that I'm using the sky from. So I want to do the same thing here, but I'm going to use a different selection tool. Instead of using the magnetic lasso, I'm going to use the quick selection tool. So I'll just click in the area that I want and drag it around. And that one did a pretty good job. So it selected all of this area here. It might be a little bit hard to see the little marching ants around there, but I hope you can see them. So that selected all of that, which is perfect. And now I just hit my layer mask button. So that masked out everything except what I had selected, which is the sky. And now I need to combine these two together. So I'm going to turn back on the visibility. I think that right now that's fine right now, the way that is. It got a little rough on the bottom, but it's not going to matter because that's going to be hidden under my ground layer. So let's see how these all come together. So I'm going to turn back on the visibility of this one. And now there's this gap in between the two. And let's actually turn off that image so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So that was my Lincoln Park image. I'll turn that one off. Okay, so I need to get the two to meet. I don't want to distort this part at all because I think you would probably be able to tell if I increase the size of this. I have these sort of tire tracks there and I just want to leave that. So I'm going to edit and make this image bigger, so the image of the sky. So I'll choose my move tool. I can move that around. Whoops, I chose the wrong one, wrong layer. Okay, so I could move this image of the sky around, move it down, which would be fine, except I have all of this extra white space on the top, so I need to increase the size of this so it fills up my canvas. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out so you can see everything, and I'm going to hit Control T for free transform, and I'm going to increase the size of that. I'm choosing to drag from a corner while holding the Shift key so that it doesn't distort, and the sky wouldn't really distort necessarily, but I prefer to like have that not be an option. The only place you would really be able to tell would be on that cloud, but I just like to sort of do that anyway. I like to get in the habit of doing that. Again, dragging from the corner and holding the Shift key so that your proportions are constrained. Okay, I kind of like that there. I might move it around maybe a little bit later, but I'm going to get everything put together first and then finalize that. So I'll just hit the Enter key to accept my changes, or hit this check mark up on the top, and that will transform that image. And oh my gosh, my computer is still running slow. Holy cow. So maybe that will transform. Okay, so there everything is. Okay, so now I need to add in my other images. Let's see, where did I put them? Okay, I tried to put them in different folders. So there they are. So those are the images of myself added in with the background. And I think it's okay, but it's not perfect. I'm going to toggle back on the visibility of my original Lincoln Park layer. Whoops, where did that go? Went in the wrong spot. So there that is. I'm just going to drag that to the top of my layers palette. Maybe get it into the right spot so I can see that. And now I'm just going to toggle that on and off. Like, I'm getting decently close right now. I'm not unhappy with that, the way it's going. If you'll notice, the feet here of these couple of figures, these 2, 3, 4, I suppose, are hidden. So maybe what I could do then is I could just reorder my images so that these 4 figures are behind this image of the ground. And all I do with that is just drag them in my layers palette. So this is this layer. So I want to leave that in front of my ground layer. And this is getting kind of complicated. Hopefully yours isn't like this. And this is sort of nitpicking a little bit maybe. Don't worry like too much about any of this stuff. And I'll go through and finish up all of this stuff after I stop this video. It's not something that you guys probably need to watch happen here. Whoopsies. We got a little wild there. Okay, so I'm just going to toggle that off again. And now you're getting what I'm seeing, right? Where some of the feet are visible, some of them are not visible. So there is that. Okay. So, all right. So now I need to finish up. I just noticed something else. Sorry, that's why I got distracted there. Notice the way my head is lighter here. It's because of this brightness and contrast layer that got out of order, but I'll fix that later. Okay, so the only final touch I think I need to make here is to add my text. So if you recall the original, it just says it's Lincoln Park minutes to midnight. So here is one of the spots where you can add in your own touch to your album cover. I'm going to change mine. So mine, I'll just go to my text tool here, and I will click, and I'm going to just, mine's going to be Horner. So instead of Lincoln Park, I'll just Horner. It's very uncreative, right? But you can come up with something more creative than that. And then instead of minutes to midnight, I'm going to have this be countdown to lunch, because that's what my life revolves around pretty much, is eating. Okay, so I have my text in there. I'll turn this off again just so you can see. It's too big, right? So everything is probably a little bit too big. I'll start with my countdown to lunch. That's also the wrong color, because if you notice, theirs is white. I want mine to be white too. I can just click on this. My color, this is telling me that the color of my text is black, so is this. So I can click on that in any spot and change it. So I just clicked on that color swatch over there. I'm going to click over here and grab some white and hit OK. So now it's the right color, right? It's definitely not the right size. So you can click on this and then drag this to change the size. You can also Control T that and just click and drag till you get the right size. So there's that. I'll hit enter. So I'm happy with that. And actually, my Horner might just be a touch too big, not too very much. So I can change all of that. Also, if you look in my character palette here, I can also reduce just the height of that text if I wanted to make it match up with the original just a little bit closer. I had already chosen a font that I thought was fairly close. Again, it doesn't need to be perfectly the same, but get it kind of close. So there's that. Now I'll turn off the Lincoln Park version and look at mine. So that's pretty good. Sorry, I'm pretty happy with that. Again, I just need to fix here where I'm seeing a little bit too much detail in my face. But overall, I mean, I think that's kind of decent. I would maybe darken this ground a little bit and do a couple other finishing touches. But that's kind of the nitpicking stuff that you can leave for the end. But overall, I think this is pretty good. I would save this. So remember to save. Let's pull that up here. Go to File, Save As, and we're going to save them as your first name. So my name is Mrs. Horner, and then album cover. And it doesn't really matter if you put your name on it as far as saving it to your computer. When you upload it for my purposes, for grading and everything, it does matter. So make sure you name it as your first name, last name, and then the project title, which is album cover. And save it as a PSD, and you can save that on your computer, but also save it as a JPEG and upload that for your final grade. So upload the JPEG version of that to Classroom. All right, well, let me know if you have questions. I'm looking forward to seeing your finished products. Okay, bye.